Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day. Today I am going to stipple my Glock. I'm going to put some borders on it. I'm excited, but I'm a little nervous at the same time. The only experience I have stippling anything is a couple of like polymer magazines. So going and doing this on my Glock is a pretty big step here. So I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and something I kind of gathered from YouTube videos is most of those people doing that, they've done this multiple times, where I'm going to show you what it's like doing it the very first time on my personal gun. So let's go ahead and get that going. I've done a little bit of research. I've looked on Pinterest and Instagram and all that stuff, the internet, and looked at the kind of designs and stuff I like. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of lay down what I like, see what I come up with. You guys are along with the journey. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video. There's going to be portions of me actually working on it, so if you're not into that, just kind of skip through it. I've done my best to try to speed that portion up already, but I know it's going to be a little bit longer, so just bear with me. This is my Gen 3 Glock 19, and I have had this a few months. I went ahead and kind of just filled the lettering with some copper paint that matches the Zev threaded and dimpled barrel. And I also have a classy Raptor tactical backplate here. See if I can get that to focus here for you. So it just says "Stay Rad," and it's a skeleton hand with the hang loose symbol. So it looks like that's a little bit better there. But also got some simple fiber optic sights on it. But I've went ahead and disassembled this, so I'm gonna set the slide off to the side here. I've went ahead and penciled in some borders of what I want to do. So I'm going to be doing a double undercut as well. You can see the two lines there for where I'm going to be marking that. But yeah, I just did some research and looked at pictures and stuff, saw what I liked, and then kind of did a combination of things that I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and put some tape on here to just try to define my lines a little bit better, so that way when I'm putting the borders in, it'll offer a little bit of protection and a better guideline. So the pencil does rub off pretty easy, so that's another reason I want to do that. I have went ahead and taped my borders. I try to get these lines that are going at an angle all going in the same angle. I also will be doing this area here underneath, and I didn't tape that. I'm just going to kind of do that by my eye. It's hard to get the tape to stick under there, so it keeps kind of coming off. So I'll be doing a line here across and then back down. We're cutting out this section, putting a border here, and all the way around. And then the other thing was back here, it was really hard to get it straight, so I'm going to kind of do that by hand as well. And then I kind of transitioned that onto this side. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to use a Dremel tool with like an engraving bit to just kind of get it started. I'm going to take my time doing this. Once again, I'm not a professional, so I want to make sure I don't mess up anything. I'm going to do this just kind of taking my time. So I'll kind of set up the camera so you can kind of see what I'm doing here with the Dremel. Alright guys, so I have my Dremel here. And I've just set up to use this little bitty tip here. It's a cutting bit, but I'm going to use it on a very low setting to once again just kind of outline my borders. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. All right, so now that I've done that part, I don't have the most stablest hand. So one of the things that I saw is once I kind of get the outline that I want there, just real light, I've got this pick tool, and I am going to heat this up with a candle, and I am just going to take the back end of this and move it along there to where I can make a better groove and hopefully make that a little bit straighter. So basically I'm just going to take this, hold it over a candle for about 30 seconds, 20 seconds until it's hot enough to be able to try to work in my groove to give that a cleaner line now. So once that's hot enough, I'm just kind of working it back and forth to give it a deep groove. So I'm going to keep doing this. Basically kind of, I know this isn't the greatest time to be practicing, but I'm kind of practicing on this spot. So that way I don't mess anything else up. Also, something that I was figuring out as I was putting this tape on is painter's tape is probably not the best choice. It doesn't stick as well to the surface of the polymer. So I'm sure there's a better option out there. Initially, I was going to use some medical tape, and my medical tape actually has little jagged edges to it, so that wasn't going to be the best option either. So for what I already had here at the house, the painter's tape was my best option. So I'm just kind of working with what I have here. As you get towards the edges of where you're doing your borders, when it's on a curve, it makes it a little more difficult to keep this in here. Um, I've seen people use like carving tools and stuff, and that may be a better option. But I didn't have any carving tools, and I wanted to get this done today, so I didn't want to waste time on trying to order it or going and picking it up. So just, once again, using what I have here at the house to make this happen. But I'm just going to keep going over this line here with this thing being nice and hot. And just kind of defining my line. Okay, so there's that. That isn't a super deep border, so I may try to get it a little bit better. Alright, so I have been using the Dremel to follow my tape line, and I'm just kind of taking my time. Once again, not the most steady of hands, but I'm getting that border that I'm looking for there, and I've done it on this side too. Looks a little wobbly, but I'm gonna go back and clean it up. I'm also gonna be, once again, using that hook heated up to kind of define that line too. So I'm gonna keep going here, and then I'll peel back the tape once it's all done and kind of show you what it looks like before I start sanding the rest of the frame to do the stippling. Well, as you can see, I have borders now. They look a little bit sloppy, but I am going to go back and clean that up. Not completely done. I basically just wanted to get the groove there. And then I'm going to go back and run the hook tool through it to melt it and try to get it a little bit straighter. That was one of the worst spots right there. It was difficult to do. I actually made a little bit of a mistake. This is where I wanted my line to be, but I had actually put it there with the tape for some reason. So underneath that, it's just going to get sanded, and then you shouldn't even be able to tell it was ever there. So the other difficult spot was underneath the trigger guard there, and I don't really know if that's even going to stay there, because I'm going to be sanding away all of this, all of these finger groove areas. The grooves will still be there, but the actual texture is going to be gone. So we'll see what happens with those, and I'll figure out what to do. But I'm going to go ahead and start sanding off the texture and sanding the area for the undercut there. Okay, so I have switched over the attachment for the Dremel. So now I'm going to be using these round sanding wheels, and then I'm going to be doing that double undercut. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be taking that Dremel wheel and bringing this area closer up into here. I'm going to be very careful while doing that, obviously, because we don't want to eat through that trigger guard. And then there's going to be another section here that would be for my other finger to support my shooting hand. So it's going to allow my finger to get a little bit deeper up in there and give me a better grip on the gun overall. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Once again, just sanding down all that stuff. This is in preparation for the stippling portion. Before I go any further here, I forgot I have my grip plug in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and take that out. I don't know if you can tell, but I've started shaving that. It goes by pretty quick, but we just want to get that all relatively level. Alright, so you can tell I've begun sanding. All that texture is mostly gone now. So I'm going to get a little bit of sandpaper and kind of just touch this up in some areas. I'm going to go ahead and keep sanding here. Once again, this is just something you want to take your time with. You don't want to go too fast and then eat through the entire frame, because that's not something that would be easy to fix. So now that I have that part gone and the backstrap part gone, I've started to make my undercut there. I am pretty nervous on doing that because I'm afraid I'm going to go all the way through. So I went and got some sandpaper. I've got 120 and 220 here. I saw a cool trick of somebody taking the sandpaper and wrapping it around a pin. So I'll show you here what I mean. Then you roll the sandpaper around the pin, and then you can use that to get in between the grooves really well there. So I'm going to do that for the undercut portion there, and then also in my finger grooves to help clean up that shape a little bit before I start the stippling. Okay, so I have sanded off all of the stock texture that comes on the Glock, and now my borders are looking a lot more prominent. They're not done yet. I've got to still go back and kind of run through them and make them a little bit straighter, and then also kind of clean them up a little bit, but I've made the double undercut on the trigger there. Not as sharp as a lot of the ones that I have seen. I probably will try to go back and just kind of make these edges here a little more prominent. One of the other things that I went ahead and did since I was here, and I'm probably going to make this a little more prominent if possible, is I made a little relief area there for the magazine release just to make it a little bit easier to drop the mag. But now that this part's done, I'm going to go ahead and start stippling. So I'm going to be using a wood burner and a tip for the wood burner where it's just going to allow me to kind of put little indentations all over this, and it's going to give me a rougher grip. So once again, as I'm doing this, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to just be careful because I don't want to burn through the actual frame of the magwell area. So but right now I'm feeling pretty good about it. I know it's not perfect, but it's something that I wanted to do, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep rolling here and see what we come up with for the finished product. So all right, so this is the tip I'm gonna be using here. Nothing fancy. This is just something that came with the actual wood burner, so I think this is going to work out pretty well. I've got a little stand here. I'm going to be able to sit that on there so that way I'm not burning anything. But I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and I'm just going to kind of work my way from one section of the gun all the way to the other section. Alright, so the wood burner is heated up. So I'm just going to go ahead and test this little corner here. It is hot enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and start working my way away from this corner here. Again, just kind of starting from that corner out. Not going to get too extremely close to my borders, obviously, because we want that to still be visible. Now that I've started doing this, I want to continue doing it at like the same angle that I start with, because if I change this angle, it's going to be very noticeable. So just keep that in mind if you're doing this at home. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and just continue to work all the way around all my borders now and get that done. I think that is going to make things a little bit easier there. Still working on it, but I've got this section all stippled, and now I'm going to work on this side and the back strap area. So keep going. Getting closer. Just got this one little section here left to do. So far so good. Decent for what I'm looking for. It is pretty rough, so I might do a little bit of a reduction on that. If you're not familiar with what a reduction is, essentially you're just taking sandpaper and making that a little less rough. So alright, I'm gonna keep going. I'll show you the finished product here in a few minutes. And here is the finished product for now anyways. But just to show you, this is empty. So see, my borders look a little bit better. Still not perfect by any means, but I ended up redoing this one under here. I have to go back and heat up the hook and go through these spots a couple more times. It's pretty close now, but I want to get it just a little bit better. All right, we got it done. I'm excited. Didn't ruin my gun. So like I said, if you take your time, take it easy, you'll be all right. So this is clear. Just to show you guys, working on guns, always make sure it's empty. You don't want to have any accidents. So here's what we got. You can see the undercut there. I may go back and make that a little more prominent. I also may do a little bit of a reduction on the stippling here, just to kind of make it not as rough, but I want to shoot it and carry it a little bit just to kind of see how it feels, and it might not need any changing. So but once again, just kind of give you a quick look here at the whole thing. Around the back and under the trigger guard there are definitely the most difficult sections in my opinion, just trying to keep it straight. But I know it's not perfect, but for doing it myself and not having to wait on it, not having to spend a bunch of money having it done, it makes you feel good every time you look at it and you know that you did it. So comment, let me know if you guys like it, subscribe or don't, I'd appreciate it if you did, but like the video for me. If you have any questions, yeah, just let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them. So hope you guys learned something. Take it easy. Appreciate you watching.